Χριστός γεννάτε δοξάσατε, Χριστός εξ ουρανών απαντήσατε, δόξα εν υψής της Θεό και επί γης ειρήνη εν ανθρώπης ευδοκία. Christ is born, let us glorify him and meet Christ who from heaven has come to us. Glory in the highest to God, and on earth peace, goodwill among men. Welcome all to the second Christmas celebration event of the three Hierarchs Academy of Arizona. With the grace of God and guided by His divine providence, we gathered here today to witness and taste the fruits of the prayers of Saint Elder Ephraim, who a few days earlier left this world and now is enjoying the eternal celebration that the mystery of the incarnation of our Lord Jesus Christ has offered him. And which are these fruits of his prayer? All of us here today are kids, which we will applaud and greet for their efforts to perform in front of us tonight. Their performance carries a message not of this world, not of the spirit of the days we live in, but of the days of old, of our forefathers, of our Orthodox tradition, with their tasteful cultural differences, but yet, above all, Christian Orthodox tradition. Our children tonight will inspire our souls to prepare ourselves to receive baby Jesus in our hearts and lives, in our minds and actions. What a mystery it is today. Prophet David says in the Psalms, they have ears, but they do not listen. They have eyes, but they cannot see. And isn't that a fact? Today, Christmas is celebrated all around the world, from Christians and non-Christians. We witness how the divine providence, regardless the knowledge of God in any human, the divine providence has established this celebration globally to be praised by the rational and irrational world, because it cannot be denied that the only new under the sun, after the genesis of the world, is the incarnation of the second person of the Holy Trinity. And as it was back then, when Jesus was born, and the first lists of the Roman Empire were created, so his appearance on earth would be documented, in the same way today, all the world knows that he is born, all the world celebrates for him, but not with him and without knowing him. We were blessed by God to know, to see, to witness, to venerate a man of God who knew him, who saw him, who witnessed him every day in his heart and in his whole life. And by being obedient to him, today we are all here to follow each and every one of us, to follow behind the path he opened for us, so we may create our own manger in our hands, in our hearts, as Saint Elder Ephraim did, and we may be worthy to host Jesus Christ in the cave of our hearts. On this day, I will say no more for the great feast that approaches, but let's allow the evangelists that wrote the Gospels, the fathers of the Church, the hymns of our liturgical life cycle, and the traditional carols of our cultures to guide us through the mystery of the Incarnation. How could we start this day without making reference to the one of golden speech, St. John Chrysostom, one of the three Hierarchs, who 1400 years almost ago addressed his flock in Constantinople on the mystery of the Incarnation as follows. Behold, a new and wondrous mystery. My ears resound to the shepherd's song, piping no soft melody, but chanting full forth a heavenly hymn. The angels sing, The archangels blend their voice in harmony. The cherubim hymn their joyful praise. The seraphim exalt his glory. All join to praise this holy feast, beholding the Godhead here on earth and man in heaven. He who is above, now for our redemption dwells here below, and he that goes lowly is by divine mercy raised. Bethlehem this day resembles heaven, hearing from the stars the singing of angelic voices. And in place of the sun, enfolds within itself on every side the sun of justice. And ask not how, for where God wills, the order of nature yields. For he willed, he had the power, he descended, he redeemed, all things yielded in obedience to God. This day, he who is born, and he who is becomes what he was not. For when he was God, he became man, yet not departing from the Godhead that is his. Nor yet but any loss of divinity became he man, nor through increase became he God from man. But being the Word, he became flesh, his nature, because of impassibility, remaining unchanged. And so the kings have come, and they have seen the heavenly King that has come upon the earth, not bringing with him angels, nor archangels, nor thrones, nor denominations, nor powers, nor principalities, but treading a new and solitary path. He has come forth from the spotless womb. Since this heavenly birth cannot be described, neither does his coming amongst us in these days permit of too curious scrutiny. Though I know that the Virgin this day gave birth, and I believe that God was begotten before all time, yet the manner of his generation I have learned to venerate in silence, and I accept that this is not to be probed too curiously with wordy speech. For with God we look not for the order of nature, but rest our faith in the power of him who works. What shall I say to you? What shall I tell you? I behold a mother who has brought forth. I see a child come to this light by birth. The manner of his conception I cannot comprehend. Nature here rested, while the will of God labored. O ineffable grace, the only begotten, who is before all ages, who cannot be touched or be perceived, who is simple, without body, has now put on my body, that is visible and liable to corruption. For what reason? That coming amongst us, he may teach us, and teaching lead us by the hand to the things that men cannot see. For since men believe that the eyes are more trustworthy than the ears, they doubt of that which they do not see. And so he has deigned to show himself in bodily presence, that he may remove all doubt. Christ, finding the holy body and soul of the Virgin, builds for himself a living temple, as he had willed, formed there a man from the Virgin, and putting him on, this day came forth, unshamed of the lowliness of our nature. For it was to him no lowering to put on what he himself had made. Let that handiwork be forever glorified, which became the cloak of its own Creator. For as in the first creation of flesh, man could not be made before the clay had come into his hand, so neither could this corruptible body be glorified until it had first become the garment of its Maker. What shall I say, and how shall I describe this birth to you? For this wonder fills me with astonishment. The Ancient of Days has become an infant. He who sits upon the sublime and heavenly throne now lies in the manger. And he who cannot be touched, who is simple, without complexity, and incorporeal, now lies subject to the hands of men. He who has broken the bonds of sinners is now bound by an infant's bands. But he has decreed the ignominy shall become honor. Infamy be clothed with glory, and total humiliation the measure of his goodness. For this he has sued my body, that I may become capable of his work. Taking my flesh, he gives me his spirit, and so he bestowing, and I receiving. He prepares for me the treasure of life. He takes my flesh to sanctify me. He gives me his spirit, that he may save me. Come then, let us observe the feast. Truly wondrous is the whole chronicle of the Nativity. For this day, the ancient slavery is ended, the devil confounded, the demon is taken to flight, the power of death is broken, paradise is unlocked, the curse is taken away, sin is removed from us, error driven out, truth has been brought back, the speech of kindliness diffused and spreads on every side. A heavenly way of life has been implanted on the earth. Angels communicate with men without fear, and men now hold speech with angels. Why is this? Because God is now on earth, and man in heaven. And every side, all things commingle. He became flesh. He did not become God. He was God. Wherefore he became flesh, so that he whom heaven did not contain, a manger would this day receive. He was placed in a manger, so that he, by whom all things are nourished, may receive an infant's food from his virgin mother. So the Father of all ages, as an infant at the breast, nestles in the virginal arms, that the Magi may more easily see him. Since this day, the Magi too have come and made the beginning of withstanding tyranny, and the heavens give glory as the Lord is revealed by a star. To him then, who out of confusion was brought a clear path to Christ, to the Father, and to the Holy Spirit, we offer all glory and veneration, now and forever. Amen.
Kids while waiting for St. Nicholas to appear. The Christian Orthodox hymn to the actual Santa. Singing are the students from kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grades. Nativity Vespers, poem of St. Herman, Patriarch of Constantinople, chanted at the Vespers of Christmas. Reciting are the students of kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grades.
What shall we say? Every creature made by you offers you thanks. The angels offer you again. The heavens the stars, the magi gifts, the shepherds the wonder, the earth its gate, the wilderness a manger. And we offer you a Virgin Mother. O eternal God, have mercy upon us.
Joy to the World, a Christmas carol written by English writer Isaac Watts, based on Psalm 98, Psalm 96, verses 11 through 12, and Genesis chapter 3, verses 17 through 18. Singing are the students from kindergarten, 1st and 2nd, and 3rd grades.
Let earth receive her King.
are evangelists. Distinctive is the way Holy Apostle and Evangelist Luke speaks about it. Following, we shall listen to the Gospel of Luke, chapter 2, verses 1 through 14 by the students of the 4th and 5th grades. This is a traditional classical English Christmas carol, synonym of Christmas in our hearts and minds. Singing are the students of the 4th and 5th grades. This is a Christmas carol that first appeared in 1739 in the collection Hymns and Sacred Poems. And since then, it has been translated in all languages, and it is introducing Christmas globally. Singing are the students of the 4th and 5th grades. Isaac the Syrian. Saint Isaac the Syrian is one of the holy fathers of our church and a well-known ascetic, author, and theologian. Let's listen to the Holy Spirit bearing words of him on the Feast of the Nativity, and let's align our approach to this feast with him. Reciting are the 6th and 7th grades. This is a Christmas carol with its origins in the 18th century. O come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. O come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. We shall listen to the students of the 6th and 7th grades sing. This is an English traditional Christmas carol and one of the oldest extant carols, dated to the 16th century or earlier. Let's enjoy this carol, which will be led by the 6th and 7th grades and performed by all of our children's choir. Feel free to join and sing along. The Christmas Katavasia Christos Genate Doxasate, or Christ is born, let us glorify him, is a poem of St. Cosmas Melolos, teacher of St. John of Damascus, who lived in the 8th century. Katavasia is a type of hymn, the last troparion of an ode of a canon during the service of Matins. Its name is derived from the Greek word katavasia, meaning descent or stepping down. So called because the chanters used to step down from their stalls and unite in the middle of the church to chant them. The katavasia in Greek will be chanted by our kids' Byzantine choir.
Christos
master chanters, and teachers of the Byzantine music art of the state of Arizona, with known presence in the sacramental life of our Orthodox Church and all the parishes and monasteries of all jurisdictions in Arizona. The choir tonight is led by the Byzantine music professor and master chanter, Mr. Dimitrios Katsikris, who is our school's Byzantine music instructor. The choir will begin with the first Kadavasia of Christmas, Christ is Born, in English, and the ninth Kadavasia, Magnify My Soul, Megalion Psychimu, in Greek, in a stihiraric first tone. Right after, they shall continue with the hymn, All Blameless Virgin Living Palace of God, and Aron Symphony Alizos, Zion, the holy city of God. Lift up your voices, truly heralding the divine memorial of the fathers, of the Sunday before Christmas, Vespers, and Matins praises. The melody is in the first tone in slow, stihiraric style, and it was composed in the early 19th century by Father Matthew, monastic of Atopedi Monastery in Mount Athos, who lived from 1774 through 1849. Today is born from a virgin, Doxastikon of the Christmas Royal Hours in Plagal second tone in English, composed in an original Byzantine style by the professor of the Byzantine music and master chanter of the metropolis of San Francisco, Mr. John Michael Boyer. referring to the newborn Jesus Christ, is a colophonic hymn in the first tone composed by the presbyter Galasios in the 17th century. It is a hymn chanted in church after the services this period to prepare the Christians for the great feast that approaches. Following to that, the choir will chant the Gratima, Derirem, composed by Petros Lambardarios. The tradition of the church informs us until today that the words Derirem, Denana, and so on were the lullaby of the Theotokos to the newborn Christ. The lyrics of the colophonic hymn in Greek are Astron idi anatetapken ekphilis Iuda, oper epignontes vasilis kinisis anatolon piude, Gettase epigondo on perteasaste Christon en Bethlehem sarkitiktomenon. The translation in English is, a star has already risen from Judah's tribe, whom when realized, kings from east are moving towards, and arriving they must to witness Christ in Bethlehem born afresh. casa verifica. The well-known ancient Byzantine carol, The Beginningless God Has Descended, performed by our kids' Byzantine choir. The most common Christmas carol of the Greek Christmas tradition, where many of us have sang countless times in order to collect door-to-door treats and pocket money a few days before Christmas. The carols of our childhood, performed by our kids' choir. A New Year's Eve traditional carol from the island of Chios. This unique carol is performed antiphonally with the master of the choir singing the verses alone and then repeated by the choir. In the lyrics, we see how the carol singers are trying to please the Lord of the house with their words, looking for a good treat at the end. They refer to him as to Saint Basil for the New Year's Eve, and they try to touch with their wishes all the family members, the ones close and those that were far, as Chios Island is a naval island with many in the maritime trade. The lyrics with their translations are displayed on the screen.
Do you know?
to our teachers for all the hard work, for all the energy and love that you give to our children. God bless you, and let God give you more love and patience with us. And thank you very much. Accept the flowers.
So there's one other thing. We have some tax credits that we want to talk to you through it about. So there's an ASCO tax credit that everybody here can donate money towards the school. It's a dollar for dollar write-off. Caroline here is going to explain a little bit more what it is. We'll be back in the back of the room to answer any questions. But if anybody here that pays taxes and believes the government will do what's right for your taxes, keep doing that. But you can actually take that same $2,200, I think it's almost $3,000, or $2,300 that they can put towards your taxes. And you can just basically tell them that this money needs to go to the Hierarchs Academy rather than letting them decide.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here this evening. It's a pleasure for me. Sorry. Thank you. It is a pleasure for me to be here, and I really enjoyed your performance this evening. My name is Caroline. I'm with ACSTO. We're a tax credit organization. What we do is we accept donations from taxpayers such as yourself, and then we turn around and take those funds and we scholarship them to students, such as students right here at Hierarchs. Anyone who's a taxpayer here in the state of Arizona can actually donate their tax liability, or up to $22.65 if you're a married couple, or $11.35 if you are as a single individual. Anyone that makes more than $15,000 a year typically is going to have a tax liability here in the state of Arizona. So the way this works is that you will look at your tax form. Last year it was on line 49. That explains your liability, or that gives you the number of your liability. This year when you're looking at your taxes, it will be on line 48. Whatever that dollar amount says, you can either donate up to that amount or the maximum, whichever is less. And then you can recommend that it go right to 3 Hierarchs. The money then will stay at 3 Hierarchs and will provide scholarships for students that are attending now. And it will also be there for other students who that might want to come in and may not otherwise be able to afford to do this. This is an incredible gift that we have here in the state of Arizona. There's only a couple other states that offer anything similar to this, and it's not something that we, that is as big as the way this works here in the state of Arizona. It really is, it is a huge blessing. A lot of times people think that they can't donate because maybe they get a refund, and that's not true. So I just want to touch base a little bit on what the liability is. If you're working for an organization and they deduct money from your payroll each week, and then you get a pay stub and it shows how much goes to the state of Arizona, that money at the end, either they've taken out too much and that's why you get a refund, but if they haven't taken out enough, then you would write a check to the state. What the tax credit does is it actually reduces that dollar amount that you're responsible for. So if you normally get a refund, you're going to get a larger refund from the state of Arizona. If you normally have to pay the state, it's going to reduce what you owe and could possibly turn around and be a refund for you depending on what that dollar amount is. The bottom line, the money that you donate to ACSTO for 3 Hierarchs is money you have to pay anyway. So you either have to pay it to the state in taxes, or you could recommend 3 Hierarchs, send it through ACSTO, and then 3 Hierarchs gets the funds for that, and they can use it for tuition for the kids. It is an incredible benefit. Only about 4% of taxpayers take advantage of it because it sounds too good to be true, but it really is true. I'm here to tell you it works. They say it works. I will have plenty of information back there, so if you want more information from me, I can give that to you this evening. One of the nice things about it is, while you can't donate right now, you can donate up through April 15th and still take it for the 2019 tax year. So when you do your taxes, and this is what my husband and I do, we do our taxes, and then we figure out what is our tax liability, and then we take whatever our liability is and we donate it to ACSTO. That way we don't over-donate, if you will, so we're not creating an issue for us. But I will have information there, and you can also go to our website as well. Thank you for your time.
everybody can just stop by and see her on the way out. Even if you don't have a question, you can take a pamphlet and then you can call. And then there's one last announcement. So the school locally here, they're going to be doing some caroling on Saturday morning at the Seidel's house at 1:30. They're going to be practicing. And then on Sunday, starting at 11 o'clock, they're going to be going around caroling. So if you guys would like the carolers to stop, reach out to either Stephen Seidel or Andre Larson and let them know that you want them to stop by, and then they will arrange it all. But we could just have a warm welcome or warm hand for the kids and all the hard work they put in, and then